Hello students. So in the previous session we had seen about web scraping. Now we'll move on with the second chapter of the fifth module, that is working with Excel spreadsheets. So here we will be seeing about the OpenPyExcel module that allows our Python program to read as well as modify our Excel spreadsheets. So we have some examples. So with that we'll see. So first, before that, first we'll see some definitions. Okay. So some basic definitions. That's first one, that is workbook. So I hope all of you have worked in Excel, right? Microsoft Excel. So we'll be knowing about all this. That is workbook, worksheets, active sheets. So we'll just go through it. So an Excel spreadsheet document, you can also call it as a workbook. A single workbook, you can save it with an extension as .excel sx extension. Okay, so each workbook can contain multiple sheets, so those sheets you can call it as worksheets. So I'll just open one Excel, just show you. So here we have a Excel sheet. Okay, so I'll open a blank, so you can see here, this is my Excel. um, so yeah, here, so you can see here, this is my Excel spreadsheet document. So this you can call it as a workbook. So a single workbook will be saved with an extension as .xlsx. So you can see here I have only one sheet, so I can just plus and I can give like this: sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. So I can have multiple sheets like this. So these sheets are called as worksheets. Okay, so the sheet that the user is currently viewing, now currently I am viewing sheet 2. So that is called as my active sheet. Okay. So now suppose I am viewing sheet 2 now. Okay. So this is called as an active sheet. Suppose I am checking here sheet 1, then this is my active sheet. Okay. So each sheet has columns. So you can see these are columns, and it also has rows. Okay. So each sheet is a combination of rows and columns. A box at a particular column and row, you can call it as cell. So you can see here, I'm clicking on this. So it is in first row and second column. So that is a cell. Okay. So each cell can contain number, or it can also have some text value. The grid of cells with data makes up a sheet. Okay, so like this, when you have combination of this cells with data, that will make up your sheet. So these are the basic definitions of Excel document. So what are you going to tell? You're going to speak about workbook, then about the extension. So if I'm going to save it, then I'll be saving with an extension as dot xlsx. Then what else we are going to say? We are going to say about multiple sheets. Whichever sheet you're currently viewing, now it is sheet 1. So that is called as my active sheet. So you're having a combination of rows and columns. So that intersection point of rows and columns, that you can call it as a cell, which can have either a number or a text value. So the grid of cells with data will make up your sheet. Okay, so these are the basic definitions of an Excel document. So now we'll move on with the next topic about installing the OpenPy Excel, or you can say OpenPyExcel module. So this OpenPyExcel module, so this does not come with Python. Okay, so it is a third party module which you have to install it separately. So for that purpose, you can go to command prompt and you can just type pip install OpenPyExcel. So that time this OpenPyExcel will be module will be installed. Okay. Now after that, you have to check whether it has been installed successfully or not. So for that purpose, you have to give import OpenPyExcel in your command, in your interactive shell. So when you're giving import OpenPyExcel in your interactive shell, If it has been installed successfully, then you won't get any error. If there is any problem in the installation, then it will produce an error message. Okay, so this is about the basic definition of Word document and how you're installing the OpenPyExcel module. So how you're going to install OpenPyExcel module? In the command prompt you have to give. So if you want, I'll just show you. So I'm having my command prompt. So this is my command prompt. So here I have to go. So I have already installed this. Okay, OpenPyExcel. So I have already installed, so I'm getting this. Okay, first time if you're installing, then the progress bar wherein the installation is happening will be shown to you. Okay, how you can check? Then you can go to your IDLE, your interactive shell, and in the interactive shell you can give import OpenPyExcel. So if it has been installed successfully, you won't get any error. Now this has been installed successfully. If there was any issue, then error message will be displayed. Okay, so that is about installing the OpenPyExcel module. Next, we'll go to the next topic, that is reading Excel document. So here for the example purpose, we have an Excel spreadsheet with the name example.excelSX. So this will take as an example for all our future proceeding of this reading Excel document. Okay. So in this example, Excel as the spreadsheet, you have so you can see these are the rows and these are the columns. So in column A you have date as well as time. In column B you're going to have names of the fruits, and in column C you're going to have the corresponding value of it. Okay, so you can see tabs for worksheets are in lower left Excel. So these are nothing but your tabs. Okay, so we'll just see with an example. So just remember this spreadsheet, which is having timestamp and the names here, and also it is having some values here. Okay, so we'll just see the first example, that is opening Excel documents with OpenPyExcel. So first of all, you have to write import PyExcel, OpenPyExcel. Okay, so once you have imported the OpenPyExcel module, we'll be able to use OpenPyExcel.load workbook function. Okay, so what we are going to do? So first of all, you have to import OpenPyExcel. Then you can use this function OpenPyExcel.load workbook. So which is a workbook you want to load? That is example.xlx. So to make sure that this particular workbook is there in our current working directory. Okay, so this particular function, that is load workbook, takes in the file name. So it's the file name, that is example.xlsx, and returns the value of the workbook data type. So what is the value of the okay, that is, here you can say WB. WB is nothing but it will be having the value of the workbook data type. Okay, so this workbook object represents the Excel file. Okay, so like how file object represents the open text file, similarly here WB represents the Excel file. Okay, so and the next thing, remember this example.xlx should be in your current working directory. Okay, so we can find out what the current working directory is by importing OS. So here we have OpenPyExcel. So similarly, you can give comma import comma OS. That is, you are importing the OS module, and in the OS module we have already seen in the previous modules about get the current working directory. So we had written there as os.getcwd, that is going to give you the current working directory. So you can also change the current working directory by using os.change directory, that is chdir. Okay, for this particular example, you just have to say this much, that is, first of all you have to import OpenPyExcel module, And once you open the OpenPyExcel module, that is, once you have imported the OpenPyExcel module successfully, then you can use the load workbook function of this OpenPyExcel module. So what does this load workbook do? It is going to take the name of the file, okay, that is file name here. In this case, it is example.xlx xlsx and returns the value of the workbook data type. So now when you give type followed by wv, that is going to return the value of the workbook data type. Okay, openpxl.workbook, it is a type of workbook. Next, we'll go to the next example, that is getting sheets from the workbook. So remember, we've already seen how is your our example.xlx xlsx, okay, which are having these columns. Now, how our topic is getting sheets from the workbook. Okay, so suppose this we have kept it as a first sheet. Okay, in that case, what will happen? So getting sheets from the workbook. So the first thing what you should remember, import OpenPyExcel module should be written. So it is going to import the OpenPyExcel module for us, and once this is done, then you can use the load workbook. So load workbook, what, as we said, what does it do? It is going to load the particular file which you have passed, whose file name you have passed. So once this is done, next we can use get sheet names. So we can get a list of all the sheet names in our workbook by calling this get sheet names. So in other words, in simple words, if you're saying get sheet names is nothing but it is going to give us the list of all the sheet names which are there in your current workbook. Okay, so that is sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. That is a thing. Then each sheet is represented by the worksheet object, which we can obtain by passing the sheet name. So you can see here, get sheet by name. So what we are saying, each sheet is represented by the worksheet object. So we can obtain this worksheet object by passing the sheet name string to the get sheet by name. So what are you passing here? Sheet 3. Okay, so that is nothing but that is, it is a we say each sheet will be represented by the worksheet object, that is what wp say. So we can obtain the worksheet object by passing the name of the sheet, that is by get sheet by name, sheet 3. So we have the worksheet object, so if you give sheet, it is going to display as sheet 3. And we can also display the type of the sheet. So for that we are using type. Okay, openpxl.worksheet, worksheet, worksheet. So that is nothing but the type of the worksheet. Okay, next one you have a sheet title. So sheet title, as the as I suggest, is nothing but it is going to give you the title of the sheet. Okay, next one, you want to get the active sheet. So what did we say? For that we can use, so to get the active sheet. Okay, so we said in the workbook, so to know how many sheets are there, you can use get sheet names. So that time it showed sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. In that, currently we are in which sheet? Now suppose here in this case, I have sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. Now currently I'm in which sheet? I'm in sheet 3, right? Because this is highlighted. So to know that, we can use another method called as get active sheet. So get active sheet is nothing but it is going to give us which is the current sheet we are in. Okay, or another way you can also say this active sheet is nothing but this is a sheet that's on top when the workbook is opened in Excel. So once we have the worksheet object, you can get its name from the title attribute. Okay, so this is about getting the sheet from the workbook. Next we'll go to getting cells from the sheet. So we already saw about import OpenPyExcel. That is, we are importing the OpenPyExcel module. Then we are loading the workbook. That is, here the file name is example xlx example.xlxx. This is a tongue twister. Okay, so here we are passing the name of the file which you want to load here in this case. So for that, the function you're using is load underscore workbook. Okay, so load underscore workbook function of your OpenPyExcel module, which is going to load the file. Okay, next we are going to use the get sheet by name. So here, when you give get sheet by name, so which sheet? So we already saw we in our Excel. So you can see like this. You can have any number of sheets. So whichever sheet you are in current right now, so that is called as your active sheet, right? So here in this case, currently it is sheet one. Okay. So here, so sheet 1 you have passed it. So here you are going to get the worksheet object, that is sheet. So once you have the worksheet object, you can access the cell object by its name. So what is a cell object? So you just assume here this particular shell which is having date time. Okay, you can see it is represented by A1. Suppose apples, that is B1. So that is nothing but your cell object. Okay, so here in this case, what is a cell? This is B1. Similarly, this is C1. Like this, it goes on. So once we have the worksheet object, then we can access the cell object by its name. This cell object will have value attribute. Okay, that is nothing but the value stored in the cell. So you can just see here sheet a1 dot value. So just see this Excel sheet. A1 is nothing but this particular cell, okay, whose name is A1. So what is the value stored in that particular cell? You have a date, that is 4/5/2015, and a time 13/34/02. So that is the value that is stored in that particular cell. Okay, so that is how it is got here. Date time dot date time. What is the date? 0, so that is 4/5/2015, and the time is 13:34 and 2. That value is displayed here. Similarly, sheet B1. So in sheet B1, that B1 is nothing but your that your cell, right? So B1, what is B1? It is having a value apples. Okay, so here you can see sheet B1, and that value corresponding value is stored in C. So if you're giving C dot value, what is that value stored? So in sheet B1, what do you have? Sheet 1, okay, sheet 1 of B1. In B1 we have apples, so that is stored in C. So if you're giving C dot value, you're going to have it as apples. Okay, similarly, just see the next line here, row. So this is just the string what you want to display, and the corresponding value for that. So str of C dot row. C dot row, that is C is what? B1. So B1 is in which row? That is first row, right? So when you say B1, it is the first row. Here you can see the row number here. So this is your row number. So for that purpose, it is row 1. So here plus is nothing but just the concatenation what you're using. Similarly, the next string what you're going to write is column. C dot column. So C is nothing but it is representing B1 cell. So B1 cell, when you say, it is first row and the column name is B. Is again a string. C dot value. So what is the value that is stored in B1? That is apples. Okay. Similarly, next statement, cell plus C dot coordinate. Here, along with the rows and columns, the cell object also has the coordinates. Okay, so the cell object will have row, column, and coordinate attribute that provide the location information of the cell. Okay, so accessing the value attribute of the cell object, we already saw for cell B1 gives us apple. The row attribute gives us integer 1, and the column attribute gives us B, and the coordinate is nothing but B1. Okay, so here cell C dot coordinate is nothing but it is giving you the value B1. Is this a string? C dot value, again it is apple. Similarly, sheet C1 dot value. So when you see C1 dot value, what is the value you're having? That is 73. So that is displayed. So this is about getting cells from the sheets. Okay. So specifying this, so in this, one more thing what we have to say about the date and time. So OpenPyExcel will automatically interpret the dates in column A, okay, and return them as date time values rather than just a string. So column A is nothing but representing your date and time. So what we are saying, OpenPyExcel will automatically interpret the dates, that is 4/5/2015, in column A and return them as date time. So for that purpose, just see the result what you got, date as well as time. Okay, instead of string, it is displayed. So specifying a column by letter can be a little tricky, you can say, especially when you have column Z. So column Z, when where you will be having, once you reach the end, after Z you will be having A B. So like this it goes on, right? So that is, column start by using two letters after this Z. So an alternative, we can also get a cell using sheets cell method. So that is what we are going to see in the next example. So instead of using this column by letter like A or B, in some cases, that is, once you reach after column Z, then you might be in a tougher situation. So to overcome that, we can use a cell method, and for the cell method we can pass integers for its row as well as column keyword arguments. Okay, so for that we'll see with an example. That is our next example. Okay, so you can see here we have the cell method. So sheet dot cell, you are specifying the row as well as the column value. So since simply, instead of telling uh, column B, instead of telling like that, we will use the row as well as the uh, column keyword arguments in the form of integers. Okay, so here row 1 column 2, that is nothing but it is representing B1. Okay, so I'll just show you here, row 1 column 2, that is nothing but B1. Okay, so that is what we are saying for the cell method, we are passing the integer value. Okay, now when you say sheet dot cell, so that is same, your cell method, you're passing the integer value for row and column, and along with that, now what do you want? You want the value that is stored in that particular location. So for that purpose, you are writing dot value. Okay, so when you give dot value, what happens? The value that is stored in the corresponding location will be displayed. Okay, so that is the cell method. So using the cell method and its keyword argument, we can also write a for loop to print the values of a series of cells. So that is what we are doing here. So using a for loop here, for I in the range 1, 8 and 2, what are you printing? Print I. Okay, print I. What is this I is nothing but the serial number, you can say 1 2 like that. Okay, sheet dot cell in row 1 column 2, row 1 column 2, what do you have? Row 1 column 2, row 1 column 2, you have apples. Okay, and followed by that, that is row 1 column 2 corresponding value want. So for that purpose, apples will be displayed. Okay, so here what you can say, um, so to print the value in every cell, we can also do it in the form of order row number of an odd, we can say, of an odd row number. So by passing 2 for the range in steps. Okay, so if you're saying, just see here, first, then after that, it is increment by 2. So that increment by 2 is nothing but this. Okay, so if you are writing a C language, how you are doing, instead of writing I plus plus, you will write I plus 2. So that is what we are doing here. Okay, so starting from 2, maximum is 8, so 8 is not included. Okay, So starting from 2 go up to 8. So 8 you don't include, up to 7. Okay. So how is the order? So if you're printing the first row, I'll just show you here. So if you're printing the first row, then next plus 2. So 1 plus 2 means it will be 3. Then you're displaying this. Again 3 plus 2, then 5. So like this, the incrementing order is this 2. And what is this 8? 8 is nothing but till where you have to go. So this is a starting one, okay, and this is a final one. So 8, when you say 8 is not included, you'll be going up to 7. Okay. So what you're doing here, I, then I is nothing but the number here. Sheet dot cell row I column 2. So row 1 column 2, row 1 column 2, what do you have? You have apples. Again increment, next will be pears. So like this it goes on. So this is how you can display the values of a particular cell by using the cell method. So when you're using the cell method, you are using the row as well as the column numbers. Okay. So instead of simply specifying the row by letters, we will use the row and column numbers in the form, or in other way you can say integers. Okay. So one more example here, you can see here. So we can also determine the size of the sheet with the worksheet object. So for that purpose we will see get high, or we'll use get highest row, or we can also use get highest column. Okay. So the starting part, import OpenPyExcel, then load the workbook, then you're getting the sheet, that is the, what you can say, the object, that's the worksheet object. And now you're going to use the method get highest row. So get highest row is going to give you the what you can say, the highest row in that particular sheet. Okay. So in this case, which is the highest row? In this case the highest row is 7, and highest column is A, B, C. Okay, that is ABC. So 3 is the highest column and 7 is the highest row. So we can also use this method, that is highest row and highest column. Next we'll go to converting between column letters and numbers. So to convert from letters to numbers, we are calling. So first of all, here we have import OpenPyExcel. Followed by that, the additional thing what we are using here is that is call OpenPyExcel.cell, and again you're writing import get column letter comma column index from string. So this is the additional thing what you have to write. That is to convert from letters to numbers. That is in your just show you. So this is your column. Here it is A, right? So instead of A, I want it as 1. Okay, I want it as column 1. Instead of B, I want it as column 2. Similarly, Z means I want it as column 26. So if I want it like that, then I can use, then I'm going to do this method, that is called converting between column letter and number. So if you want to do that, here the additional thing what you have to use is from OpenPyExcel.cell, we have to import get column letter comma column index from string. So you can see get column letter of 1. So get column letter of 1 is nothing but the first column. First column. So instead of, that is 1 you have given. So 1 is nothing but A. Similarly 2 is nothing but B. 27 is nothing but, so till 26 it is Z, and after Z it will be A, like this it goes on. Similarly 900, if it is there, then it is AHP, like this it goes on. Okay. So what you're doing, you're giving the column number and what is the corresponding letter for that, that is displayed here. Okay. So again we'll come back here, load workbook, that is nothing but you're loading get sheet by name, sheet 1, that is your worksheet object. So once you get your worksheet object, then we can find the highest column. So in this particular example, that is example XLS, which is the highest column, that is C, right? So we got it as C. So column index from string, which is the column index, that is A. So if you are given column as A, what is the corresponding number for that? So column A is the first column, so you got an answer as 1. Similarly AA, so if you're giving AA, what is the corresponding column number? That is 27. So this is converting between column letters and numbers. So in the first for example, the column number was given and the corresponding letter was displayed. Whereas in the last two example, column letter was given, corresponding number is displayed. Okay, when the letter is given, so you want to give the letter means you have to use column index from string. If you want to give the column number means you have to write get column letter. Okay, that is you're giving the number, you're going to get the column letter. Whereas in this case, column index from string. So you're given a string here. That is nothing but you can say column letter here, and that for that corresponding index, that is number, that is being displayed here. So this is about how you can convert between column letter and numbers. Okay. Next, we'll go to the next one, that is getting rows and columns from the sheets. So we can slice the worksheet object. So we have the worksheet object here, that is sheet. So we can slice. So this is about the slicing. We have already learned about this in list. So we can use the worksheet object. Sorry. So here you have loaded example.excel sx, then you have got the worksheet object. Now for this worksheet object, so we can slice the worksheet object to get all the cells in a row, column, or a rectangular area of the spreadsheet, and then we can loop over all the cells in the slice. So here you can see here tuple A1. So A1, when you say, it is the first row. So here you have A1. This is your A1, which is the first row, first column. Okay. So A1 till C3. Okay. C3. So this is your C column. C3 when you say till here, right? Till this value. So what are we doing? We'll just check out. So C A1 to C3. So here you're slicing the worksheet object. So sheet A1, B1, C1. So this is representing your first row. Similarly, sheet 1, A2, B2, C2, A3, B3, C3. So what is the meaning of this? You're going to get the values of the first three rows. Okay. So we are going to, or we are trying to access the values of the first three rows. Okay. So here from A1 to C3. Okay. So we get a generator object containing the cell object in this area. So we will see how it is. So to check how this generator object is, we are using this tuple. Okay. So tuple on it to display the cell objects in the form of a tuple. So here generator object is nothing but when you're giving sheet A1 to C3. Okay. And to display that in the form of a rectangular area, that is nothing but here tuples are considered. A1, B1, C1, that is the first tuple. A2, B2, C2, the second, and A3, B3, C3. Okay. So we use a tuple to display the cell objects in the form of a tuple. So this tuple consists of three tuples again, that is one for each row from top of the desired area to the bottom. Each of these three inner tuple contain the cell objects in one row of the desired area from the leftmost cell to the right. So overall we can say our slice of the sheet contains of the cell objects in the area from C1 to C3, starting from the top left of the cell and ending with the bottom right. Okay. Now to print the values of each cell in the area, we are going to use two for loops. The outer for loop goes over each row in the slice. Okay. So you can see here row of cell object, that is for the row, and the inner for loop will be for each cell in that particular row. Okay, that is cell object. So outer loop will be the for the row object, and the inner one will be the cell object. So cell object dot coordinate and cell object dot value. So first what we will do, so first it is a1. First we are speaking about row 1. Okay, in row 1 what are we considering? So when you say cell object dot coordinate, cell object dot value, that is you're going to print coordinate. Coordinate is which one? That is a1. Okay, and what is the value in that? You have the first value as this particular time. Again, what is the next cell code object? So you can see here cell object means what? You're going to check for all the cells, that is a1, b1 and c1. Once you complete with one particular row, then again will be, it is like you're incrementing, that is nothing but you're going to the second row wherein you have a2, b2, c2. Similarly, again increment A3, B3, C3. Like this it goes on. Okay. So first we'll assume row of cell object. That is, we are speaking about the first row. Okay. And in the first row, what will be the first cell? That first cell will be A, or in other way, cell here coordinate A1. That is nothing but column 1. Right. Uh, in which you have the timestamp, and once you display that, that is the value is displayed, again your cell object will be incremented, that is nothing but it is b1. In b1 what is the cell object value? That is apple. Again increment c1 73. So once you're done with the first row, then your row of cell object should be incremented, that is nothing but you're going to the second row. So for that purpose you have a2 time object, then after that increment your cell object, then you go to b2 wherein the value is cherry, again increment the cell object 83. Once you're done with this, then row of cell object is incremented, that is nothing but you're going to a3, then cell object increment b3, again increment c3. Finally it is end of row. So after each row you can see this end of row will be displayed. Okay, so this is how you can get row and columns from a sheet. Okay, so to access the value of the cells in a particular row or a column, we can also use the worksheet object. So you can see here active sheet, that is which is your active sheet. Here in the previous case we sliced it. Okay, here column 1, that is nothing but here we are speaking about the column with who is having the names as apple, cherry, all those things. Okay, so it will be b1, b2, b3, b4, b5, b6. So the cell object in sheet dot column 1, that is nothing but here we are going to speak about this particular column, that is b. So what values you have? Apples, cherries, pears, orange, that will be displayed. Okay, the value will be displayed, cell object dot value. So next you have a project that is reading data from a spreadsheet. So this is a project that is given to you in your textbook. So in this project that is reading data from a spreadsheet. Okay, so here we have a spreadsheet of data from 2010 US Census, and we have a task of going through its thousands of rows to count both the total population and the number of census tracts for each county. So you can see the data here. You have the state as well as the county and the population. Okay. So we have to go through its thousands of rows. So here it is already shown 9,841, 42. So like this, thousands of rows are there. So we have to go through all these rows and count both the total population and the number of tracts here. Okay, for each of the county. So for San Francisco, how much is the tracts and how much is the population? So we need to count. So each row represents a census tract. Okay, so here the name of the spreadsheet is census pop data dot excel sx. Okay, so Excel can calculate the sum of multiple selected cells. So even though it can do that, we would still have to select the cells for each of the 3000 plus counties. Even if it takes just a few seconds to calculate the county's population by hand, this would take hours to do for the whole spreadsheet. So for that purpose, what we will do here is, let us try and have a script that can read from the census spreadsheet file and calculate statistics for each county in just a matter of seconds. So that is what our project is going to do, or a script is going to do here. Okay, so what a script will be doing, it will be reading from the spreadsheet and calculate statistics for each county. So here, what is shown to us is only of San Francisco. Like the different counties, of all the counties, you have to calculate the statistics. Okay, so this can be done in a matter of just seconds. So we'll see what our script will be able to do. So this is what our script or a program does. So first of all, it reads the data from the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so reading the data from the Excel spreadsheet, then the next thing what it can do, counts the number of census tracts in each county, counts the total population of each county, and then it prints the result. This means your code will be doing the following task, that is, open and read the cells of an Excel document with the OpenPyExcel module. So we know how to use the PyExcel module, right? So we'll write import OpenPyExcel. Then after that you have a function that is OpenPyExcel.load workbook, which is going to load the XML, that is, sorry, not XML, your Excel file. It's going to load. Then after that, calculate the tract and population data and store it in the data structure. So here we are also going to use a data structure, that is, we are going to use dictionary here. Okay, so we'll see about that. Then write the data structure to a text file with .py extension using the pprint module. So about the pprint module also we have already learned in the previous modules. So preprint is nothing but it is pretty print module, that is displaying in a nicer way, can be done by using this pprint module. Okay, so these are the things, that is, opening the Excel, open and read the cells of an Excel document. Then after that you have to calculate the tract and the population data and store it in a data structure. Then write the data structure to a text file. So that data should be written into a text file with what extension? With .py extension. So to write, what are you using? We are using the pprint module. So the population and the tract what you have calculated, that will be written into a file which is having extension as .py. Okay. So we'll go to the program here. So starting, you have the shebang line which is telling us this is a Python 3 version here. Then we are importing the module, that is OpenPyExcel. So we have already seen about this OpenPyExcel, that is, you want to modify or you want to read the content of Excel, then we are using this OpenPyExcel module. Then about preprint, so we just said in the previous slide that you're going to get the data from the Excel sheet, then that you're performing the calculation and the result will be written back into a file with .py extension, right? So to write it into another file, we are using this pretty print module. So these are the two modules what we are inserting. Okay, so in your textbook, again, this particular project is given in terms of steps. So in step 1, what they are saying is, we are going to read the spreadsheet data. Okay, so we are going to read the spreadsheet data. So the spreadsheet name is census pop population data dot xlsx. So this is just a print statement, that is opening workbook. We are using the OpenExcel load workbook to open this particular file. Okay, and get sheet by name, that is your worksheet object is created. Okay, Then the next part is about the data structure. So we said we have a data structure that is a dictionary data structure, right? So that is your county data. So that we will see here. So this is your dictionary, okay? That is your county data. So data structure stored here in county data, that is in the form of a dictionary with state abbreviation as their key. So again, about dictionary, we have learned in the previous module. Dictionary is nothing but it's a combination of key as well as value pair, right? So state abbreviation, sorry. So the state abbreviation is acting as a key. Each state abbreviation will map to another dictionary whose keys are a string of the county name in that particular state. Okay, so you can see here this each county name here will have two keys, that is tracks as well as pop, that is your population. These keys map to the number of census tracts and population in a particular county. So this is your dictionary data structure what we are going to use. Okay, so this is how the information will be. AK anchorage, so here you can see AK anchorage and population. If you saying this is the population, what will be displayed. Similarly, AK anchorage tracks, if you're giving, you're going to get a value as 55. So that is the thing here. The keys will also be looking like this, that is county data is a data dictionary and followed by that state abbreviation and which is the county and what is the tracks. Now suppose if you're speaking about Bristol Bay. Okay, then county data state abbreviation is AK and the county is Bristol Bay. And if you're saying tracks, what is the tracks there? It is 1. If you're saying population, then it is 997. So this is the second step what they are saying in your textbook, that is populating your data structure. So this is till here it is done, that is county data. You have written opening and closing curly braces. Okay, so that is about your data structure. And the next what we have to do, fill in county data with county's population and track, that is done, that we have done. So now reading rows, now from where you have to read again, from the excel, right? So you need to read from there. So for I in, for row in range, again here slicing is done from 2 to highest row, that is in your excel sheet. Okay, the highest row will be called +1. What are you doing? Each row in the spreadsheet has data for one census tract. That is, first you're going to get the state, then you're going to get the county, then you're going to get the population. State B plus state row dot value. So whatever value in this, that is considered. Similarly, state C dot value, D dot value, that will be stored in that is your reading from the XML, sorry, not XML, your Excel sheet. Okay, so open a new text file and write the contents of the county data to it. So now what you have to do, you are reading, right? Your reading is done. Now the data what you have read should be written back into another file, right? So that is your third step, that is yeah, that is your third step, wherein you're reading the content from the file or whatever contents you have read from the file, that you're going to write into the and the file which is having dot py extension. Okay, so here you can see we have used a method called as set default method. Okay, so to make sure that state abbreviation key exists in our data structure, we call this set default method to set a value if it already does not exist. In that case we have to set it. Okay, state set default county tracks, we are setting it to 0 for each represents 1 incremented by 1. So every time you encounter one tracks, then you're going to increment it. Increase the county population by population in the census tract. Again the county population also is increased, that is in the first row suppose you get population as 10,000. Again when you iterate it, next iteration it will be Again, if you're having 10,000, then it will be 10 plus 10, that will be 20,000. So like this it goes on. Okay. So that is a thing now. And the last step here, we have to write the results to a file. So whatever calculation you have done here, okay, that is about tracks as well as population. So you can see here every time you have incremented, right? So that calculated information should be written to a file. So that is what we are doing in the third step, that is write the results to a file. So after the for loop has finished, the county data dictionary will contain all the population and tract information keyed by county and as well as the state. That is, we have calculated the total population as well as the tract information of that is counties, right, and the state. So now we would program, that is, we would like to have a code that is text file, or we would that is from this data, that is from Excel, whatever data you have taken, that we need to write it to another file. So for that purpose we will be using this pprint format. Okay, so here you can see here, for row in range 2, highest row plus 1, that is again from the Excel, what you're doing, whatever calculation you have done, that is you have got the total population as well as the track value, that needs to be written into a file. So here we are opening the file, that is census, we have named it as census 2010.py, and you're opening it in write mode. Why it is write mode? Whatever data you have got in the Excel, that data need to be written into this file with the extension .py. So you're opening it in the write mode. Okay, so write, what are you going to write? pprint.format county data. So the information about the county is written into this particular file, census 2010.py, and this is looping. So you're going to write each and every information, and finally you're going to close, and then you're going to print done. So this is about the program, or the project, you can say, wherein you have the information in your Excel sheet, that information that is about the population as well as tract, you are calculating that and you're writing into another file with .py extension. Okay, so here you can see, to change the directory you're using chdir, then you're importing census. So here what you're doing, the census 2010 .py you have already written, so that file you're going to import. Okay, all the data, and yeah, so the population will be printed. The 2010 population for Anchorage was 29 lakh, sorry, population of Anchorage was 2,91,826. Okay, so what we are saying, the pprint format, whatever we have used, that will produce a string, that it is going to produce a string, right? So by outputting it to a text file, so which is a file we have written to, that is census 2010.py. Okay, so we have written the data into that particular file. So here I'm just showing. So here the read census excel.py, so this particular file or a program, in this, once we have its result saved in census 2010.py, so the result of this particular code is written in census 2010.py. Okay, so we won't need to run the program again. Once you have the calculated thing written in census.py, again we don't require that this particular file, right? We don't require this particular file, because once you have done, you have calculated and you have stored it in census 2010.py, you have stored it in that particular file. So whenever you need the county data, in that case what we will do, you will just import this census 2010.py census 2010. Okay, so what we are saying, in this particular program, what did you do? You calculated the census value, that is tract as well as population for every county you have calculated. Okay, so anymore, if you want that information, you can just write import census 2010. So calculating this data by hand would take many hours. So this program can do it in just a few seconds. Okay, so that is what, using OpenExcel, uh, that is, we won't be having any trouble to extract the information from the Excel sheet and performing the calculation. So all these things can be done at a faster rate. So this is a program wherein you're going to get the information. So till here you have to write. Okay, till here. So this is a program. So what you're doing in this program, first of all, you're going to load the census pop data dot excel sx. Then after that, you're going to initialize a dictionary with the state as well as the population and tract value. Then after that, from the excel sheet, you're going to get all those values. Then that value, what you're going to perform the calculation, like you're finding the total of all those values. Once that is done, then you can write that particular file into a text file with .py as the extension. Okay, so with this, we have done the first half of the second chapter, that that is reading Excel documents. Okay, so this is the first one in second chapter of fifth module. Okay, next we'll see in the next class. Thank you.